Hello, everyone. Our group has joined to discuss Inuit youth mental health challenges in Nunavut and the factors that contribute to this ongoing issue. We'll be covering the background, the impacts on youth, and the solutions that can support a healthier future for the community. Let's begin with an introduction to the territory of Nunavut. Nunavut officially became a territory on April 1st, 1999, after the Northwest Territories was divided. This change happened because of the Nunavut Land Claims Agreement of 1993, which is the largest Indigenous land claim in Canadian history. Through this agreement, Inuit gained greater control over the land, resources, and governance. It was not just a political milestone, it was a recognition of Inuit cultural identity and their long history in the region. Geographically, Nunavut is the largest and northernmost territory in Canada, making up about 21% of the country's total land area. It included the mainland, most of the Arctic archipelago such as Baffin, Ellesmere, and Victoria Islands, and all the islands across Hudson Bay. The territory spans across three major physiographic regions: the Hudson Bay lowlands, the Canadian Shield, and the Canadian Arctic. These regions contain mountains, fields, thousands of lakes and rivers, and some of the largest glaciers in the country. Nunavut's climate is extremely harsh. Winters can reach temperatures as low as -40 or even -50 degrees, and most communities are accessible only by air or sea. This isolation has shaped Inuit culture and daily life, with hunting, fishing, and harvesting remaining central to identity and survival. According to the 2021 census, Nunavut's population was just under 37,000 people, with Iqaluit being the largest community. About 84% of the population is Inuit, and the territory has a much younger population than the rest of Canada, with nearly one-third of residents aged 14 and under. Finally, it's important to acknowledge that Nunavut faces a significant mental health crisis. Suicide rates among Inuit youth are 5 to 25 times higher than the national average. In June 2025, the territorial government officially declared suicide a crisis. Supporting Inuit youth mental health is crucial, not only for individual well-being, but also for preserving Inuit culture, traditions, and community strength.
To understand mental health challenges among Inuit youth in Nunavut, we have to look at the historical and systemic context. Colonial policies, including residential schools, forced relocations, and cultural suppression, created deep intergenerational trauma that continues to shape mental health. These events disrupted family structures, cultural continuity, and identity. Systemic inequalities still affect Inuit communities today, particularly in access to housing, healthcare, and education. These historical and ongoing inequities are foundational to the mental health challenges faced by Inuit youth. Social determinants heavily influence mental health. Nunavut experiences some of the highest housing overcrowding rates in Canada, with many families living in small or shared spaces. Overcrowding increases stress, reduces privacy, and can overwhelm young people emotionally. Poverty and food insecurity are persistent challenges, and mental health services are often limited or difficult to access. These conditions create chronic stress that significantly increases mental health risk and contributes to higher suicide rates among Inuit youth. These social and historical factors have real impacts on Inuit youth. Suicide rates in Inuit communities are significantly higher than the national average, which is directly linked to the conditions youth grow up in. The combination of intergenerational trauma, overcrowding, poverty, and limited mental health support leads many youth to experience emotional strain, hopelessness, and isolation. But at the same time, Inuit communities show strong resilience, cultural pride, and community community support systems. Understanding both the challenges and these strengths is the key for creating culturally grounded solutions.
From my section, I'm focusing on the health disparity analysis. One of the clearest inequities affecting Inuit youth in Nunavut is mental health. Suicide rates here are extremely high, between 9 to 25 times the Canadian average. Most of these deaths involve young people under 30, which shows how deeply this crisis affects youth specifically. Inuit youth also experience higher levels of depression, anxiety, and substance use compared to non-Indigenous youth, which means their overall mental health needs are significantly greater. Another major disparity is access to mental health services. Many Nunavut communities are fly-in only, so youth don't have consistent access to counselors or mental health professionals. Workers may only visit for short periods, or there's a lot of turnover. This means youth often don't build long-term trusting relationship with providers. There are also few Inuit-speaking or culturally trained mental health professionals. Some youth hesitate to seek help due to the stigma and proficiency concerns. Overall, the support available does not match the level of need. When we compare Inuit youth with non-Indigenous youth in Canada, the difference becomes even clearer. In the South, most youth have regular access to school counselors, recreational programs, and mental health clinics. They don't face the same geographical barriers or community-wide trauma. Meanwhile, Inuit youth face higher mental health challenges, but fewer supports and resources. This creates a major inequality in outcomes between Indigenous and non-Indigenous youth. This creates what we define as health disparity, a situation where one group faces much higher risks and worse outcomes while also receiving few services. In this case, Inuit youth experience far greater mental health struggles, but do not have equal access to culturally safe and consistent care. This gap is strongly connected to colonization, systematic inequalities, and social conditions like overcrowding and poverty. Understanding this disparity is important because it helps us identify where change and culturally grounded solutions are most needed.
Next, we will introduce solutions that support Inuit youth mental health by rebuilding cultural relationships and returning control to Inuit communities. In Nunavut, many of the challenges Inuit youth experience today come from the colonial policies that removed children from their families and communities through residential schools, forced relocation, and medical evacuation. Those policies disrupted intergenerational learning and weakened the cultural connections that once supported youth. Land-based programs help rebuild those relationships and strengthen the cultural support systems that colonial policies disrupted. When youth learn cultural activities like hunting, sewing, or how to travel safely on the land, they're reconnecting to Inuit identity and language. This gives the youth a sense of belonging and resilience that reduces the risk of suicide. For these programs to create lasting change, they need long-term funding and leadership guided by elders and Inuit organizations. A key part of healing is making healthcare culturally safe and Inuit-led. Many Inuit youth avoid formal mental health services because they've had experiences where providers judge them or don't understand Inuit values. So instead, a lot of support happens within families or communities, not in clinical offices. Trust grows when Inuit counselors and elders are part of care teams and when services are offered through Inuit worldviews. Using storytelling and traditional healing makes services feel respectful and connected to youth experiences rather than medicalized or disconnected. Cultural safety training is also important to enforce so non-Inuit providers don't repeat stereotypes or create harm in the process of trying to help. Housing also majorly affects mental health, especially for the youth. Overcrowded housing affects how youth cope with their day-to-day problems. It limits privacy, increases stress at home, and makes it harder for families to support each other. When families are rehoused, psychological distress goes down because the youth have space to build healthy routines. When housing is designed and governed by Inuit communities, It supports food skills, land activities, and local decision making. Seeing housing as a mental health issue shifts responsibility away from the individuals in the system and towards the systems that created these conditions for them. Supporting Inuit-led housing and services is a form of reconciliation because it returns control over well-being to the Inuit communities. This concludes our presentation. Inuit communities already carry the knowledge to support their youth, so our role is to strengthen these Inuit-led strategies within the existing health systems.